This is a follow-up to a video we did a few days ago about the backlash that elected Republicans are facing in person as a consequence of Donald Trump and Elon Musk's wildly reckless and unpopular DOGE decision making. Folks, this is stunning and encouraging, but it is getting so much worse for these elected Republicans, and we have the clips to prove it. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, again, it is getting worse for the elected Republicans out there in both Congress and the Senate because, as we've seen, the honeymoon period seems to be, if not over, certainly nearing its end for Donald Trump as a consequence of his disastrous policies and his empowerment of Shadow President Elon Musk. And elected Republicans who don't benefit from the cult of personality that Trump does are facing the wrath of their own constituents. Some of these clips are encouraging. This one I'm about to show you at first is actually frustrating. So it's from a senator, Roger Marshall, who is confronted by a constituent at a town hall who is a veteran, who's confronting him about the cuts that DOGE is making to veterans. And this guy, this senator, this Republican senator, walks away in fear.
Government is doing right now as far as cutting out those jobs, a huge percentage of those people, and I know you care about the veterans, are veterans.
Yes.
And that is a damn shame.
Yes. Yeah.
That is a damn shame.
I'm not a Democrat, but I'm worried about the veterans, man.
Well, I yielded to one of my elders, and I appreciate his comments. I think it's a great, we don't have time for everyone to stand up. I do got two more commitments today. Appreciate everybody making the drive out, and God bless America. Thank you.
Do you see that? He literally refused to answer the question. He refused to address the comment from an elder veteran about veterans and from somebody else in the crowd who says, listen, I'm not a Democrat. Not only am I your constituent, which means even if I were a Democrat, you're obligated to at least hear me, even if you disagree with me on policy. But I'm not a Democrat, and I'm also worried about the veterans. And Senator Roger Marshall, like a coward, just says, hey, listen, appreciate the comments, but I got to go, and doesn't even go and just turns and walks away. That's how terrified they are, folks. That is how terrified and cowardly they are. They know that all else being equal, their policies are wildly unpopular, but they don't have the spine or the integrity or the principle to push back on Donald Trump. Here's another clip of Republican Congressman Keith Self getting some serious backlash at a town hall event.
So the other one is the DOGE program. This is very closely akin to this is very closely akin to what Bill Clinton did between 93 Bill Clinton only plans to cut 400,000 jobs between 93 and 2000.
So you might not be able to hear it, but Congressman Self smiling very unpersuasively as he's being appropriately heckled by his constituents. It's like, listen, what DOGE is doing is really no different than what President Bill Clinton did. Bullshit, for a few reasons. Number one, President Bill Clinton is smarter than Elon Musk. Number two, President Bill Clinton did it in the constitutional way. He proposed a government cutting agenda. He wanted to shrink the size of the government. He succeeded, but he also did it through Congress. He didn't circumvent Congress. He didn't go around Congress. He worked with Congress to enshrine his proposals in federal statute because he recognized that Congress was the necessarily predominant branch and they controlled the power of the purse. So there's no alternative. What Keith Self did was just lie to your face. What Bill Clinton did was objectively superior to what Donald Trump and Elon Musk are doing. And remember, Trump's party has control of Congress. Keith Self is part of the majority party in Congress. So if what Trump is doing is so smart and it's so popular and it's so right, then you all in Congress just should snap your fingers and make it happen. Do what Congress did under President Clinton and enshrine DOGE's cuts into law. The fact that you can't or won't even try despite your majorities betrays your weakness, betrays your insecurity, betrays the fact that what Trump and Musk are doing is just objectively wrong. Maybe not in theory, but the way they're going about it is. It's really stupid. Here's another, oh my gosh, I just blanked on her name. Representative Harshberger, also in the Congress. This is what she had to say about, or rather, this is the reaction that she had when trying to hype up Donald Trump's mandate and DOGE's work.
There's been a mandate to the president from the American people. Am I correct?
No!
There's not a mandate by the American people overwhelmingly.
30%!
The Congressional Budget Office, you know what it's going to be by 2035? It's going to be $59 trillion. Did I tell you? You've got people who pay more taxes. The top 1% of this country pays taxes, more taxes.
These losers, like, these billionaires pay more in taxes than you all poor people? Yeah, maybe in raw dollars, dumbass. They should be paying more by far in raw dollars, and also as a percentage. They benefit from public infrastructure, from public civilization. They're not islands unto themselves. Very often, they benefit from government subsidies, like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is not a self-made man. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar or a moron, or perhaps both, but they're just objectively wrong. So as a consequence, you all get to enjoy enormous wealth, but you will enjoy, or rather, you will deal with the vast burden of taxation. It's not complicated. It's really not. A progressive tax system, see, I'm getting so worked up here, is the only morally right one. You might have a point. If all these rich people were self-made, they are not by definition. To one extent or another, they have benefited from public investment, and sometimes, again, as the case of Elon Musk, outright government subsidy. As a consequence of that and the vast wealth that you've accumulated, you will and should pay much more in taxes. You still get to be incredibly wealthy even after those taxes. It's not like we're taxing you into oblivion. It's not like we're taxing you into poverty. Like, it's not that hard. Diane Harshberger here, living up to her name, Harsh, wants you to believe, well, you know what? Listen, rich people, their right to accrue unlimited wealth is more important than your right to, put food on your table. No, lady. No, absolutely not. That is a wildly unpopular sentiment, even among the Republican base. Now, unfortunately, I would argue that much of the Republican base is too distracted by bullshit niche culture war issues like, oh my God, there's a trans athlete somewhere in a high school in a country 330 million. Or, oh my God, the green M&M wears, sneakers instead of heels. Like, again, unfortunately, so many people are easily distracted because you dangle car keys of culture wars in front of their faces. But the notion of taxing the hell out of the rich is extremely popular even among conservatives. No one's saying that you should tax millionaires out of existence. People should be allowed to accrue wealth. But this idea that they should have a right to accrue unlimited wealth and that the tax burden should be more on poor and middle class or even equal to is just absurd. I'm sorry. As a consequence of you all getting to accrue extraordinary wealth, the extraordinary tax burden should be on you, not just in terms of raw dollars, but also as a percentage. It's not that hard. And that's why she is being received the way she is. And by the way, this idea of a mandate, what stupid, lazy math is that? Donald Trump didn't even win a majority of the vote. He won a plurality. More people voted against him than voted for him. By that logic, Joe Biden, who won a majority by 7 million votes, was obligated to do whatever the hell he wanted. And you, Diane Harshberger, and your party should have said, yes, sir, Mr. President Biden, do whatever you want because the people voted for you and you have control of Congress. You won both chambers of Congress and the presidency. We'll get out of the way. Yes, sir. We'll bend the knee, whatever you want. They didn't because they rejected the notion that Biden had a mandate. And even if he had an overwhelming victory, Republicans have the right to try to oppose Democratic legislation if they disagree with it. And likewise, it doesn't matter that Donald Trump won the election. Democrats have the right to oppose Trump's agenda if they feel it's appropriate. And we do. So, again, just watching this idea, Donald Trump got a mandate. He can do whatever he wants. So dumb. Here's where it's encouraging, though, or at least slightly encouraging. You should never get your hopes up with elected Republicans, but there's an opportunity here. I want to show you a clip of at least 2 congresspeople who have been pressured to hell and back as a consequence of Trump's unpopular actions and Musk's unpopularity, his personal unpopularity, and his unpopular actions, they have been somewhat chagrined and cowed by the public response, which means we need to keep it up relentlessly.
Give me a sense on your concerns right now. To be a little bit more compassionate in the way we message this. It matters to people, and I want to make sure that we don't come across as insensitive. We care about people. That's why we're making the cuts.
This idea that they're going to just fire people via Twitter, Elon Musk, that to me seems rash. It seems not appropriate.
DOGE specifically, but the cuts, do you have any concerns about that?
We're having conversations with our district about it.
That last congressman wants this go.
So you have 3 Congress people there. And McCormick, by the way, the first one, he's really interesting because he's a diehard MAGA Republican, and he was the one who first went viral for the shit he got from his constituents. That was the first major town hall to blow up, figuratively speaking, with the backlash that he was getting. Okay? Representative Malliotakis, she tries to present herself as a Main Street Republican. That's what they call it, like the moderate Republicans. But again, you basically have MAGA Republicans who are proud MAGA, and you have MAGA Republicans who are shy MAGA because they live in swing districts where it's possible for a Democratic opponent to defeat them in the general election. Malliotakis is one of them. Keep up the pressure. Keep up the pressure. It needs to be relentless. Do not let off the gas. Do it non-violently, but do it persistently. That's the whole point. This is the only thing that will ever correct the egregious behavior, the authoritarian overreach, the shameless submission to oligarchy that these Republicans are embodying, is if they genuinely believe that they might lose an election, regardless of whether or not Trump and Musk back them. They fear Musk and Trump more than their own voters. That's why they are doing things that their voters find unpopular, because they believe either their voters will be exhausted, or their voters are too stupid to do anything about it, or their voters are too lazy. If you, the voters, if you, the constituents, if we, the voters, if we, the constituents, make them fear that we will not vote for them, or we will vote for somebody else unless they bend the knee to us, the voter, that's the only way to get their attention. And as we've discussed, as a consequence of these viral town halls, we are seeing that a lot of elected Republicans are hiding from their constituents. As Matt McDermott points out, anger is mounting. 300 constituents rallied in Mount Kisco, New York today to protest Representative Mike Lawler for hiding from his constituents after voting for a House budget that slashes Medicaid. You also have the Associated Press. Pennsylvania Republicans who narrowly won their House seats feel the heat of early votes back home. Newly minted U.S. Representative Bob Bresnahan swore he wouldn't support gutting government benefits such as Medicaid that residents of his northeastern Pennsylvania district rely on. Then the first-term Republican voted for a bill that could do just that. Bresnahan and 2 other Pennsylvania Republicans won in November by some of the smallest margins in all of Congress, prevailing in a critical battleground state that not only helped decide the presidency, but also aided the GOP in taking control of the House. Bresnahan, fellow newcomer Ryan McKenzie, and 7-term Republican Scott Perry now find themselves navigating the delicate politics of a divided electorate once again, this time during the first weeks of Trump's administration. And I believe at one point, there's even, I'm pretty sure it was in this article, that they said that he's not doing the town hall events. Where did I see that? Keep reading the article. I thought I had the paragraph brought up. Let's see here. This article just goes into more detail. Sorry, I thought I had this pulled up. I might have had the wrong article. But they're going out of their way to not engage with the voters and the constituents, which again we discussed in a previous video last week. That Republican leadership is actively pushing Republican lawmakers to avoid town halls so as to avoid feeding the perception, which I would argue is just versed in fact at this point or established by fact, that the Trump-Musk agenda is wildly unpopular. So we're seeing increasing signs that they're trying to hide from you, the pissed-off constituent, because they don't want to be torn between their two masters. You, again, nominally the constituent, the people they should be serving, and Donald Trump and Shadow President Elon Musk. But again, we are seeing encouraging signs that these elected Republicans are starting to become afraid of their constituents, afraid of potential political consequences of backing this agenda, and you need to keep the heat on. Do it, again, protest, do it non-violently, demand these town halls, show up to the town halls when and where They exist. Ask these important questions, demand answers, and maybe the heat will turn up just a little bit on these swing district Republicans such that it will help blunt at least the worst parts of the Trump-Musk agenda. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.